Keepie Uppies Extra Time with Richey and Tots.
Well, hello there, football friends. We're in for another extra game of extra time. Keepie Uppies extra time. Tonight, it's all about the money. Show me the money. So, Tots, give us a lowdown just how we're going to break this conversation up. Short 15 minutes, in and out.
In and out, check it all about. Do the hokey cookie. Yeah, just 15 minutes of chat about money, from money relating to the local game across the water. Obviously, the big news as well. It's worked out well with us talking about doing an extra time with Man City. Numerous financial breaches. Absolutely shocked by it. Can't believe it. Never seen it coming. There might well be one or two other sides might be breaching one or two rules, but so yeah, that's really what's going to be all about tonight, and you're going to add in a wee $1 Million Man entrance video.
Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay. 'Cause the $1 Million Man always gets his way. Money, 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 money.
What a tune.
Will do.
What a tune. What a tune indeed. So what about, never mind, we'll get stuck in with Man City. What was your initial reaction when you heard? Were you equally shocked?
Equally shocked. Obviously, this conversation's been floating about for the 10 years. It's a hell of an investigation. It's been 10 years long, ongoing. So not surprised at all. Not surprised at all. But then money makes the world go around, and money talks. How many times have been sanctioned, and then what did it end up the last time back in 2020? It ended up a £10 million fine, despite all of the failings. So
yeah, which is
to see how
a drop in the ocean for them.
it really is. It really is.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it, and it looks as if haven't really read through all the breaches, but there seems to be quite a few. So they've the Premier League's obviously going in hard, and you just wonder what sanctions are going to be. Is it going to be points? Is it going to be potentially even relegation or whatever? I don't know if it'll go that far, but it'll be interesting anyway. But it could take a few. I know there's been quite a few years into the investigation, but it could be quite a few years by the time they make a decision what's actually happening. By the sounds of things, I don't really know the ins and outs of it. But does it mean then Kloppo's going to get those couple of league titles that we missed out on?
Well, who knows?
So that would
but
last season would have been technically a domestic treble.
Absolutely.
Doesn't beat the unique treble of 2001, but it's going to be interesting times. But I'm not really shocked with it's just that. And then you look at Chelsea as well. Like what is going on there? Where's the whole financial fair play? What's this? I don't even. I just don't get it. Your Ukrainian guy, Mudryk, or whatever way you pronounce it, he got an 8.5-year contract. So he'll be getting a testimonial by the time he's finished his contract. I think that was built into his contract. 8.5 years. It obviously has something to do with sort of, playing their way around the system.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, it's £10 million a year they're spending, over the length of his contract. Your books balance to say that's what the outgoing is. It's kind of, again, accountants know better than we do, but fiddle in the books.
But
they're guilty of, weren't they?
Yeah.
They're paying a manager a certain amount, but declaring it would be something else. A whole lot less.
Yeah. So, but in saying that, the players Chelsea have signed are they're pretty good players. Whatever it was, 15, 20 minutes he came on against Liverpool. The Ukrainian guy, he was fantastic. Timmy Carragher was saying he reminded him of Aaron Robin. I thought he reminded me of Hazard at his peak. Just quick.
I actually never seen that game.
Did you not know he was very, very good?
No.
That's when kind of Chelsea kind of upped it against us and had a couple of really good. He had a couple of good chances as well. Looks like he's going to be a brilliant sign. I think he's only 21, 22. So the players they've actually signed have been really good signings, but it's just like where's all this?
Where's the FIFA fair play? Financial fair play,
basically. But so yeah, going to be interesting times. And what about? I see there's kind of wee bits, sort of more locally. Ballymena's in possible financial difficulty, and there's talk about, we've chatted to managers that have come on the podcast about the top six and the full-time teams and the gap widening, and I think Ballymena is maybe trying to keep up with those top six, and as a result they're probably running into financial difficulty, and I think those within the club are trying to find investment to compete and suppose pay off their debts. But I suppose that's the risk of it, isn't it? When you've got those full-time teams, that gap widening between the top six and the bottom six, that you're going to have teams in the bottom six trying to compete and probably spend more than they're obviously bringing in. So there's
money
that
talks.
side.
It's as simple as that. Money talks. I mean, you're maybe bringing players in the likes of the top six that are capable of playing maybe at a higher level, but are getting paid a decent wage to play at that level, to keep them teams competing. They're guaranteeing them European football, etc., etc., etc. So when you have the money, you have the power.
But you do worry about those sides, don't you? Ballymena's a big team, big club, big following. Like if they're struggling, you'd imagine there's probably a few other teams are going to be struggling. You need to look at. Remember Oma Town, established Premier League club. Of course, they went under and then came back as Oma United. Had to end up playing in our league, and sure, then they went bust 2 or 3 seasons, and so it's crazy. So
no, it's a difficult one, really, as you said. All the riches don't exist. Not everybody has the same riches, and you're relying a lot on loyalty, a lot on what else can you offer them. It's not everybody can be paid the top dollar.
Yeah, so it's just going to be interesting. I know with Jared Lawler on there a few months ago, and he's looking at a lot of the teams to go full time, but whether that's actually sustainable for especially those bottom six, whether they can do that and whether they can keep it going is another thing, and
it's generally one big investor that's keeping it all going, and ultimately with no real kickback. They're not going to turn money and earn whoever the investor is, earn them a massive profit. A lot of it's sort of an investment, a labour of love, born out of the love and will and want for the game. Maybe whether they're a local, who's got a few pounds, who's got business behind them, is happy to invest. Outside of that, there's no real profit to be churned. It's, as you say, just using your wealth to help your local team kick on.
Yeah, well, there's the owner at it's Kenny Bruce at Larne. He's pumping in a lot of money. So that's his kind of local team. He's just kind of made huge strides for the football club, but I think also locally. Then obviously you've got an outside investor, at Glentoran. Obviously doesn't have too many ties with the East Belfast team, but he's pumping in a lot of money. And if you look at Mel McGinn, he was brought in, and just to name one. Obviously he's brought in the Donnellys as well. They're probably getting paid a lot of money, so it's great that these players are coming across, but you do worry about that. It's almost going to be two separate leagues, and you worry, as I said, with those bottom six clubs, if they can compete, what could potentially happen. Hopefully they can get support from NIFL, and of course there's that big stadium fund that's it's still not, the folks on the hill need to obviously sort things out before that's released.
Absolutely.
But saying that 36
then,
million probably isn't nowhere near enough to, especially I think when 10 million I think is going to Glentoran alone to upgrade the oval. But
yeah, how much of that's going to trickle down then to the other clubs on the up, or the smaller clubs?
Yeah.
You want to invest in the clubs, because investing in the clubs, that you've already said, investing in the clubs is an investment in the community. Ballymena carry a big crowd, for example, big followings. If it's evenly distributed and people are allowed to invest and, get stronger, get better, it brings the community with them. It's an investment across the board. But if it trickles down, it probably won't trickle down, and that'll be the thing. It sort of strengthens those that are already at the top.
And what about even further down, Richey, with obviously intermediate football? Because I suppose when you think back to whenever you were manager, obviously players weren't getting paid. We were having to pay our fivers or tenors, whatever it was, throughout the week to pay the referee and pay for training and stuff like that. Obviously, it's all changed now. I suppose when you're going to try and compete and get out of intermediate B, you're going to have to try and get better players, and as a result, probably start paying guys. And equally, when you get into intermediate A, like we did, to even just compete in that league, you need another sort of higher grade of player, and then to actually try and win the league again, you have to attract even better players.
That's it. It scales up and down, as you say. You're investing in a better quality, which costs more to get you to the next level. So it's difficult. It's difficult to sustain. It's always a gamble to be taken.
Did you see it going that way, or like what? I know you're kind of a football romantic. When did you think that was inevitable, that we were going to have to get to that stage where we're going to have to start paying players?
I think it was the only way we were going to be able to compete and stay in touch. The alternative was to step back into junior football, which I thought was not the right thing to do. And thankfully, the club stayed at intermediate and have been able to sustain and compete now. As you say, investment comes along with that. There's a whole lot of wheels turning to make sure that there's money there to pay the fucking referee, to pay for coaching, all that. It all comes. You're relying on so many individuals and so many businesses and everybody else to kind of tap into your club and invest in the project and help you ultimately invest in the community. So, but to compete and to go to the next level, and that's where the club is at now. It wants to go to the next level again. You have to bring in the bigger, the better players, and head on their dues.
And what way does it work? Just because I obviously haven't got a Scooby Doo, but do you have to sit down as chairman at the end of the year, or is there like an accountant within the club or somebody that has half an idea about
ultimately
to see whether it's sustainable and things like that? And
well, we'll sit down as a club, and the decision's made whether we can take it to the next level or not. And ultimately, if we decide that we want to go to the next level, and we support. We just play the support card as best we can. That's the thing. I mean, for the club to be playing at the highest level at senior level, is obviously then it gives the whole structure, the whole youth setup of the club then an ambition and a pathway, a potential pathway. So that the sort of the higher level you aim for, it's growth from spearheaded from the front. It helps just draw in more players, create a future from the bottom. But yeah, it's always no matter as you already said, the likes of Ballymena and stuff maybe trying to on the tail of the bigger clubs. It comes at a price. It comes with a gamble to be taken. But at the minute, the club is in a good place, and they're ambitious, and they're happy to go forward. There's no rash decisions. There's nothing. There's nobody sticking an neck out. It's a case of, right, if it's sustainable, we go and do it, because we don't want to fall foul to what has happened to other clubs. in the recent past. So yeah, it is with caution, but with bravery. Let's say that.
Yeah, I suppose it's just getting that balance because we spoke about Omagh United there. You just need to look sort of locally, Lurgan Celtic. It wasn't so long ago they
Yeah,
were riding
yeah,
high, and the
yeah.
championship
And
when they
you
were
have to make it
semi-final
sustainable.
Irish Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. You have to make it sustainable, and that's always the focus, always the driving force, always the project that we're playing and rolling out year on year. It's making it sustainable, making it sustainable, making it sustainable. So and at the minute, the time's right to try and strike when the iron's hot. There's good players in the squad that are capable of playing without question at the next level, and we'll see. Hopefully that'll be the case next season. But you can only keep going, keep asking the questions, and keep scoring goals, keep winning games, and see where it takes you.
And as the club, as a entering, the way, did they have to make a decision soon, or have they made the decision
Yeah.
about
So the decision,
about
the
the playoff?
application has been made. Yeah,
Right.
the application is made. It's asked to be made. I think it's at the start of the season. To be honest with you, so
Oh, is it as soon as that? Right, right.
the application's been made. So yeah, yeah,
But obviously a lot of football to be played. Uh,
absolutely.
between now and the end of the season. Funny, I remember we were talking about Omagh United. I always remember when they came to Knockgrammar Park and the guy scored. I think I was telling you this before. I think this
Mm-hmm.
was to put them 2-1 up. I think we were drawing one each for them. And it was Roy. Remember, we were talking to Niall Curry there recently. He was saying about Roy McCready.
Yeah,
And he was the manager of Omagh. But anyway, the guy had a free kick to make it 2-1, and it was a rubbish free kick. He just kind of hit it round the wall, and it kind of trickled in, I think, under Kieran Murray's arms. And
yeah.
Davy McGurk or somebody says, "Ah, Flip, you were lucky enough for that free kick," and he goes, "I don't care, so I get a £10 goal bonus." I just remember thinking, what? A £10 goal bonus?
Yeah.
So again, it was
No, that's a
surprise,
crazy thing.
surprise when you heard they kind of folded. I think they won our league
Yeah.
pretty handy enough, and then they went into Intermediate A. I think they finished fourth in their first season, and I think then it was the next season after that
Yeah.
they went bust. So basically, they lasted 2 seasons after Omagh Town
Yeah.
went bust. So they obviously didn't learn the lesson,
Well, that's it.
which is a bit sad. Like,
We spoke with Newry City's manager, and he said he went
yeah,
through the
of
same
course,
heartache
you're
of the club going under, but
right.
they have come back with sustainability and done it right, the right investment, the right people on board, people willing to give it another go. What's making it sustainable? That's the big thing. It's the big thing.
I suppose it's easy to get
You know.
away, isn't it? Sort of chasing the dream almost a wee bit, but as you said, it
Yeah.
when you try to move up to that higher division.
Yeah. But in fairness, it's been a what's the word? A slow ascent. We haven't. There was years in Intermediate B. We've been banging on the door at Intermediate A's past couple of seasons. So it hasn't been a massive leap. It's been small steps in the right direction. And I think we're coming closer and closer now to going up another step. So let's see. Looking forward to the rest of the season.
So I think we've covered a lot there in extra time. Show me the money, and don't forget the $1 Million Man entrance music. But to finish off, Richie, obviously you sent me a wee message earlier about still in keeping with money. Registration fees have to be paid with regards to our girls senior team, Girls Revolution. That's Oxford Sunnyside FC.
Yeah.
So fill us in,
Absolutely.
please.
Just delighted we got accepted into the NIWFA Development League starting this May. So we were able to field a ladies senior team for the first time. So it's a massive achievement for the club. So absolutely, I'm delighted. Yeah, we have a pathway now for the girls. Our academy's going strong from under 9s right through to 17s, and now with the senior ladies, that pathway is there for them all. So hopefully we hit the ground running in the development league this year. Keep recruiting, keep drawing it in, but a real coup. I was the first team manager whenever the girls academy was first established. Greg Maholland and Joe Johnson back in the day had started the process. So to see some of the girls that were there from the outset now, weeks away from making their senior debuts for the club is fantastic. And again, it's a sign of the times of, again, sustainability and progress and development of the club and of the players. So just buzzing, absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. So I'm going to get Lily working on her. She doesn't need to work on her right foot or left foot. I'm saying her left foot's still bad on mine.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn her into a wee right back. Lily Turam Totten.
That'll do.
So remember the name.
For the future.
Remember the name.
That's it.
What did you say? The senior started at 14? 14, did you say? So there's another
14 plus.
Another 12 years to go.
Yeah.
Right.
14 plus. And then, as I was reading through the rules there the night there, so if we were ever to achieve Premier League or Championship status, then it's 15 plus. And I know the rules were about to change anyway, about the earliest age that you can play senior ladies football at, but 14 plus at the minute. And say we're actively recruiting. We're training on a Tuesday night and a Friday night at the minute. 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, 7 p.m. on a Friday. So all new players welcome, old players welcome to get on board the revolution, as you say.
Brilliant. Exciting times ahead. So I think that's us, Richey. Until we've got our guests lined up next week.
Yep. So tell the people who we're talking to next week.
So next week we're talking to the Score host, Michael Clark. So he hosts one of the top ranked podcasts in the world. So yeah, he coverages the local game, mainly the Premier League, but also the Championship and Premier Intermediate, but primarily the Premier League. And yeah, it's worth checking out the Score podcast.
Will it maybe teach us a few things?
Well, that's it. Yeah, but yeah, he's the daddy, so he is. So yeah, it'll be an interesting chat. And then we've got Gary Lavery, Gary Hastings. Gary Lavery Hastings.
Gary Hastings. Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting to Gary. He's a great signing this year for the first team. He's really give us a new dynamic, and he's got a few shout outs in the podcast recently as well. So he's an adopted Lurgan man at the minute. But he's really settled into the club and loves the vibe and loves the whole thing, and the club loves him back, So he's a wee tale to tell. He's been on a few journeys in his short footballing career. Still only a young man, so whole lot to talk about. Looking forward to that one.
And then later on in the month, we're gonna be speaking to a couple of guys from Borussia Newton Abbey. Love the name. They have a big push for mental health, men's mental health, a bit like FC Mindwell. So they've just started up. Don't think they're playing in a competitive league at the minute. Probably playing friendlies as far as I'm aware. But yeah, it'd be good to chat to them as well.
We could look to arrange a game at Knockdown Park, maybe over 35.
Yeah, 100%. Because we need the games for our season. It's going to be finishing. Our season finished months ago, to be honest. But we've only 2 games left, don't we? I can't believe Armagh City pulled out. That means my goal doesn't stand. On the plus side, my miss also, my sitter doesn't. What sitter?
Oh, live long in the memory. I wasn't there, but they're still talking.
Oh, flip! I shouldn't have brought it up then. It wasn't great now. But
I see Red Lion have folded as well. Obviously, a whole lot of teams are now struggling. Sort of, I suppose when you're at the bottom of the league and struggling on, and you can't get a team together week on week, it does become a bit of a burden for those kind of runners. So I think a few teams have.
Oh, the Red Lion
folded
team?
And Red Lion have folded.
Oh, right, sorry. I was thinking St. Mary's, but
no, St. Mary's already folded. So St. Mary's have folded. Red Lion have folded, and Armagh City.
Right, because Red Lion were right side last year. They done well. They won our league, didn't they? Or they're second, maybe. There's a couple of them want to join us. Do we want any more poor men, do we?
No, there's enough. Mel Curry, somebody stopped me up the street the other day and says, "Here, I believe Mel Curry's paying for you over 35s." It's like, no, that'll only be if we're really struggling. There's some
Aye.
randomers listening to the podcast.
I was saying if you're really, really, really well here, if you've seen our last couple of results, we're really, 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 really struggling.
Really
That's
struggling.
and we conceded 15 goals in 2 games. If that's not really, really,
I
really,
think
really
maybe you
struggling,
need to start training and stop doing these podcasts.
probably. Right, so that's
We'll go a long way.
Everybody's got a price. Everybody's gonna pay. 'Cause the $1 Million Man always gets his way.
Keepie Uppies Extra Time with Richey and Tots.